During the 70s, when the Shah of Iran was there, he wanted to build out of Iran a super military power in the area. He wanted to raise the price of oil for reasons other than economical reasons. The Saudis wanted to keep the price of oil going up very slightly, reasonably, so we do not hurt the economy of the West and we do not hurt the annual increases in demand.
The shock of the oil embargo and the great increase in prices drove Western countries and industrialized countries to bring into being conservation policies that before they ignored. It changed the whole situation. It reversed the power equation. And the Shah, like other rulers in the region, suddenly found himself without the kind of revenues to carry out the kind of grandiose and ambitious schemes that he saw at the beginning of the 1970s. The great increase in the price of oil, the power that oil gave, the illusion of power that the oil gave to the Shah, helped destroy him. It was kind of a poisoned chalice for the Shah.
The Iranian Revolution exploded in all its fury and shook the world of oil to its foundations. As students and religious fundamentalists took to the streets, the system established to guarantee Middle East oil supplies was rapidly heading towards ruin.
The Shah, who had been the policeman of the region, could no longer serve that function. And when he fell, that Western influence declined seriously.
Only a handful of people witnessed the Shah's departure into exile on January 15th, 1979.
The fall of the Shah was, of course, precipitated by strikes in the oil fields that reduced Iranian production to zero from 5 million barrels a day. And it had a disconcerting effect on the oil market.
2 weeks later, 1 million people thronged the streets as the Ayatollah Khomeini, implacably opposed to the West, returned from exile and took power.
The Iranian Revolution caused the price of oil to jump several times, and the companies were panicking. And the price of oil kept going up and up again.
For Western motorists, the second oil shock was 1973 all over again. Even though he'd warned of a new energy crisis, the upheaval helped to destroy the presidency of Jimmy Carter.
Good evening. Tonight I want to have an unpleasant talk with you about a problem that's unprecedented in our history. With the exception of preventing war, this is the greatest challenge that our country will face during our lifetime. The world is not prepared for the future. During the 1950s, people used twice as much oil as during the 1940s.
I've been sitting here since 8 o'clock this morning. How about I didn't go to work yesterday because I had no gas?
During the 1960s, we used twice as much as during the 1950s. And in each of those decades, more oil was consumed than in all of man's previous history combined.
The oil price actually touched $40 a barrel. Everybody thought there was now a permanent shortage of oil. But of course, with 20/20 hindsight, you could look back and see that there was no shortage. There was no actual shortage. There was a panic, there was hoarding, but no shortage. But virtually no one saw that at the time.
We thought that we could get away with practically anything in terms of increasing the oil prices. I think that is when, that is the zenith of OPEC power. And perhaps at that time, we allowed that feeling of power to go into our head.
Vienna, September 1980. OPEC was meeting to plan a grand celebration of its 20th anniversary. Within minutes of its opening, the meeting broke up in confusion and OPEC's unity was shattered. Far away in Baghdad, Iraq's strongman Saddam Hussein had launched an attack on one of his OPEC brethren.
You had the feeling sitting with Saddam of being in the presence of a coiled boa constrictor who was ready to strike at any moment. But this man, very ambitious man with great designs, and with an absolute ruthlessness to carry them out, would mark Middle Eastern history very deeply.
He saw in the demise of the Iranian state and in the demise of the Shah the great opportunity for the emergence of Baghdad as the dominant power in the region and as the dominant capital in the region.
It was inevitable that somebody like Saddam would venture into adventures like the Iran-Iraqi war.
Without warning, Saddam Hussein invaded Iran.
Very much in his mind was the possibility either to control the oil fields of southwestern Iran or to destroy them, to make sure that Iran would not have the kind of power based on its oil production that Iraq would have in the future.
By disrupting oil supplies from Iran and Iraq, the war distorted the world oil market and misled OPEC.
I think, in essence, that war concealed the weaknesses that OPEC was already feeling, in the sense that the war further reduced the Iraqi-Iranian supply and gave us a misguided sense that we could continue on doing what we were doing, keeping the price of oil very high in face of falling demand.